listening to the Marketing Happy Hour podcast, where we discuss career and industry insights with our peers in marketing.
We're here to talk about it all, like the ups and downs of working in social media,
how to build authentic relationships in the influencer and PR space,
managing a 9-to-5 and a side hustle at the same time,
how to be productive in your life and career without losing your sanity, and more.
Ultimately, we're here to build a community with you because we're all trying to navigate the world of marketing together.
Are you ready? Grab your favorite drink and join your hosts, Cassie and Erica, for this week's episode. Hey, Marketing Happy Hour listeners, when's the last time you ate at Chili's? Even if it's been a while, you probably have still seen the brand's presence all over social media, and that's in part thanks to this week's guest, Jack Hailey. Jack is the social media manager at Chili's, and in this episode, he's walking us through some of the brand's recent stunt marketing campaigns, how the team is able to gain approvals on out-of-the-box ideas so quickly, and sharing his predictions for the future of social media. Call in an order for a Chili's to-go margarita or grab your favorite drink and listen in with us.
Jack, we're so excited to have you on the show. How's it going? Welcome to Marketing Happy Hour.
It's going amazing. I'm so excited to be here with y'all.
Oh, I love it. We're stoked to have you as well. Well, we have to ask you an important question, which I know you told us off record. You've listened to the show a couple times, so you kind of know what's expected here. But Jack, what's in your glass this morning, or what are you just enjoying sipping on a regular basis recently?
Yes, I'm channeling my mother, my amazing mother, Claire Hailey, this afternoon, and I have a extra large glass of Chardonnay in my cup, so she would be so proud of me. She taught me well.
Oh my gosh, I love it. I am just sipping on an Ora Bora. I feel like a lot of our listeners probably know I love this brand by now. It's just a sparkling water, but they are pretty unhinged on social as well, just like Chili's. So I feel like there's a kindred spirit there. This flavor is Cactus Rose, and it's literally excellent. So highly recommend. But I wish we were recording just a little bit later in the day. I would have ordered some to-go Chili's Margs because that would have been fun. But
Yes,
Cassie,
yes.
Cassie, what do you have?
I have a Celsius right now. I am a little bit tired. We're recording this at the end of kind of the holiday, getting ready for that season and taking time off, prepping everything for that time of year. So I'm needing a little bit of a boost today. So that's what I'm sipping on this afternoon.
Always good. We love a good Celsius or anything like energy to boost our energy is always good.
I love Celsius, the best.
Yeah,
I drink
yeah.
like one a day. It's bad. Probably not good for my heart.
I need to
Well,
stop, but I do too. It's a problem.
Well, Jack, like Cassie mentioned, we are so excited to have you today. I was thinking back on my own interactions with Chili's in the past. And one of my first dates ever was at Chili's when I was in high school. They had like this, I think it was like a 2 for $20 special
Yeah.
or something
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
And we're all broke in high school. So my date took me there. I remember it so vividly. We got the like chicken crispers, I think they might be called, or maybe it's something different. But it was a great impactful time. So anyway, that's just
I
a
feel
little
like
personal anecdote.
no, you're so right. So many people, like, I'll tell them I worked at Chili or I work at Chili's, and they're like, "Oh my God, my first date was at Chili's, and like that's how I met my husband." And I'm like, I've been going to Chili's for like 10 years now. Where's my husband? But yeah, it's insane. We're really,
Yeah.
connecting people to marriages. It's great.
I love that. Maybe I need to head back to Chili's because I'm still looking for that husband. But
Yeah,
anyway,
so we can go together. Yeah, for sure.
amazing. Fantastic. Well, before we dive into all things social with you, could we just hear a look back at your career journey thus far? Did you always have an interest in marketing or did you kind of just fall into that area?
Yeah, so I definitely fell in. I had like really no interest in marketing whatsoever before I landed the role in social. But I did have interest in Chili's. So I have worked at Chili's. I've been with the brand for like almost 8 or 9 years now. I started when I was a host when I was 16. At like my local Chili's that I still go to with my family. And then I worked all through high school and college. I was a bartender all throughout college, and then I majored in supply chain. in college. I did an internship in supply chain. I hated it. It like wasn't people driven. And I was just like, I can't be sitting behind an Excel spreadsheet for my whole life. So I applied for a role at Chili's in HR and got it. So I was basically like I did like investigations and like HR and supported like a couple regions in the country for our restaurants. And I did that for 6 months, but I know we don't know each other too well, but I'm definitely not fit for HR. So then my boss Luz and I knew each other through like a couple people in the office, and she took me to lunch. And she was like, "Hey, there's a job opening on my team. Like, you're young. I know you know what's going on in culture and stuff like that. I think you'd be a great fit." And I think I told her like an idiot. I was like, "Well, I like only really post a picture on Instagram if I like look skinny in it." And she was like, "Oh my God, please don't tell me that." And so, but yeah, we like talked through everything. We had like a 2 hour lunch, and I was like, "This is so cool." And I never understood how much went into social. And then I did a project for her, and then I ended up landing the role with I started in community engagement. So that was my first role on the social team here. I did that for 6 months. And then 6 months in, I got community engagement and then all of organic content. So yeah, it's been like a crazy ride. But I've been with Chili's for like ever and don't see myself leaving anytime soon. But I'm super happy to be where I am now on social.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Well, it sounds like, a lot of people are in these companies and they're like, how do I move around? How do I ask for these different opportunities? Do you have any tips for that? Just like building connections within a brand and moving your way around to the areas that you aspire to be in?
For sure. Yeah. I think Brinker and like Chili's is we are hybrid. So we go in 3 days a week. You have optional work from home 2 days a week. So I think if you have the opportunity and your company's hybrid, like definitely when you first start, like I went in every single day and just tried to meet as many people as possible. One, just to like network, and two, it's good if you ever want to move roles, if you already know somebody in a different organization or like department in your brand, that helps a ton just because you already have that connection. So yeah, I think just like knowing people, whether they're like the VP or, they just started a day ago, I think knowing people in a bunch of different places in the company helps you if you want to move. And then it really helps you when you get in your role and you need something done fast or like a quick favor. It's really good to know a ton of people throughout your organization.
Yeah, I can only imagine. Networking is definitely key in any business that you're in, really. But I want to hear all about your role as a social media manager. What does your day to day look like? Do you have a team? How are tasks split up? Like, what is that looking for, like for you today?
Yeah, so the team right now is Luz and I. It's been like that for I would say like almost a year now. So I lead like day-to-day social and community engagement for the brand. And then I mean every day looks totally different. I think it depends on if we have a like big campaign going or not. We lose my boss also owns she owns social, and then she also owns brand activations. So anything that lives digitally, like as a campaign, we own that as a team as well. So if we have a campaign going on, it looks a little bit different than like now when we're kind of like working on our next. So I think just like, day to day, just like building content calendars, looking for trending opportunities for the brand, connecting with our agencies in just like all the social stuff.
Ah, amazing, amazing. And then in terms of just some of the projects you guys have worked on, I mean, I can only imagine just being in the restaurant space on the hospitality side as a server or whatever things I've done in the past. I see all of these different marketing campaigns, new menu rollouts, all of these different things. And so, from everything that you've worked on, do you have some favorite projects or campaigns or rollouts that you guys have worked on?
Yeah, I think I've gotten the chance to work on like some of our really big brain activations we've done in the past 6 months. So we just recently launched Boyz II Men. They remixed our baby back rib jingle. That was insane. And just to be like go to a shoot like that is like I'm like it was nuts. It was so much fun. I think my two favorites that we've done so far have been like what we call social stunts. The first one being Barb's Day. So like like a year last September, Nicki Minaj dropped her song Super Freaky Girl, like the sample of the Rip James song. And we just like I tweeted one day, I was like, he want a, and then I said like fried pickles and cookie skillet, but it spelled out like freak with like all caps. And then I went in and like followed a bunch of Nicki Minaj fan accounts because the tweet was like kind of blowing up. It had like 1,000 likes at that time. It was really good for us. And then it really blew up and it had like 10 or 15,000. And then Nicki quote retweeted it. And she just said, with like a couple emojis. And I was like, oh my God, I don't know if that's good or not, but like, we'll take it. A celebrity engaged and like, it's Nicki. And I'm personally a huge fan. So it was insane. And then our CMO had just started, George Felix. And we were at like a conference or something. And he was like, hey, that tweet was amazing. Like, that's so great. Like, da 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 da. And I was like, yeah, I was like, I think we can do something in restaurant. And he was like, what? And I was like, well, I was like, I don't know yet, but I think we can do something. So we like worked super fast with like our ops team internally. And we were like, hey, if this tweet gets 40,000 likes, can we host like a Barbz day at Chili's? So it got 40,000 likes, which was like insane because they kind of said like 40 because they didn't think we would get it. So we got it. And then we were like, oh my God, we really have to do this. So then we hosted a Barbz day at Chili's. So we did like a 1 day only offer where we sold pink margaritas and we called them Barbaritas. And so we like killed our sales number for that day. We had like the highest numbers we've ever had on like mentions and like on Twitter. Nicki engaged throughout the whole day. And it was so special. It was I was like on my way home, like crying in my car, and I'm like not a crier, but I was like, this is insane. But yeah, it was like one of the craziest things I've ever gotten to be a part of. We did it again this year, and it was amazing and got like a ton of earned coverage from it. So that's definitely my favorite ever. I think I'm biased because I'm like a big Nicki Minaj fan too, but that's definitely my favorite thing we've done so far.
Oh my gosh, that is incredible. I can't even imagine being a part of that, especially as a huge fan of her. So that's amazing. And then I think I saw on your LinkedIn there was a campaign that was featured by Ad Age, a
Yeah,
wedding
yeah, yeah,
proposal
yeah.
stunt. I would love to hear more about that.
Yeah, so we had a TikTok that blew up. It was from a user and she just said like I catered my wedding for under $1,000 from Chili's. I think it was $1,000, yeah. And she basically catered like her whole wedding for like 75 or 100 people from Chili's for like a really great price. And it blew up. Everybody was like, how'd you do this? I want to do this for my wedding. Da, 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 da. And so we saw it and then we were like, this is a huge opportunity. And it, I mean, basically came from, like user generated content. So let's see if we can blow it up. So we created this like stunt and we basically said like the next 3 people that propose in Chili's and like video it, post it on TikTok, then we'll sponsor their weddings, and like pay for their wedding catering. So yeah, we did that. We acted super fast. I think we saw it like in a week. Then the next week we decided we were going to activate on it. And then the post was live within like 72 hours. I like flew in and out of LA to shoot it like in the same day. And then we got it up and it went nuts. And we got like a ton of coverage from it. We've already catered 2 weddings for it. I think the third one is like later in the summer. But yeah, it was insane. It was insane.
Oh my gosh, that is so cool and so ridiculously smart and like such an attention grabber, but also like a relationship builder with your community. So I love when
Hmm.
those two things merge. A big question around things like that is like the approval process. You mentioned that you were able to move super quickly on a lot of these things that your team wanted to execute on. Could you just talk through that and like any hurdles that you might run into or like how you navigate that? It seems like your team is a little bit more on the leaner side, so you're probably able to, get in contact with people and get approvals pretty quickly. But any advice around that?
Yeah, I think our leadership team is amazing. One, George, our CMO's like so great, and then our VP Jesse is like amazing. And Luz obviously is great. So we have like a pretty direct pipeline to them if we want to do anything crazy, like the wedding proposal or like Barb's Day. And then I remember when George came on, he told like Luz and I, like the social team, he was like, hey, like we want to take big swings. And it's okay if you like not everything's going to be a home run, but like as long as you're trying, that's all we want. So I think from day one, he made us really confident that we had the power to like do like these big swings and take risks and stuff like that. So I think as long as we're confident in the idea and we're not doing anything that like could be brand damaging, and we stay within like good legal parameters, then they're usually always like, let's go, like, let's do it. So I think it's all kudos to our leadership team that they're like willing to take these swings and like, let us have these big moments on social.
That's incredible. And that's a big conversation that people are having right now, is giving that kind of autonomy and those like free ideas like to your team and trusting them to execute well, because they're the ones that, they're in social every day and they know what's going on in the culture space and they know what will work and be impactful and they're willing to take the risk. So I think it's super important for leadership to kind of acknowledge that and like give them that autonomy to do that kind of stuff, because then that's where the magic happens. Like I love that so much.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. So how do you kind of figure out or think through, hey, is this right for my brand? Is this a right fit for my brand? I'm thinking from the perspective of people listening, they're probably thinking about their own brands that they work for, and they're like, how can we do some of these fun moments or like unhinged content or whatever? How do you and your team kind of identify what could actually work and what might not be a fit for the brand?
100%. I think we did something when I first came in. We did like a big audience analysis just to understand, like, okay, this is our Chili's umbrella. This is everybody that follows us. Like, what are they actually interested in besides the food space? And so we know from those insights that our audience is super interested into pop culture. So like music, TV shows, movies, and then just anything that is culturally relevant, our audience like really gravitates to. So I think whenever we're looking at these opportunities, we have a wide variety of things that we can play in with that space because we know that our audience is going to like gravitate towards things like that. And so, yeah, I think like the Chili's fan base on social is amazing. And they're super supportive. And so it just like, we have so much room to play with, which is great. Because everything kind of like, I feel like nowadays a lot of things falls into pop culture, anything to do with celebrities and stuff like that. So we have a lot of room to play with, it makes our job a lot easier.
Yeah, well, and kind of piggybacking off of that, we have a lot of younger marketers that listen and they're newer in their careers. And I think the idea of proposing some of these crazy, wild ideas is a little bit intimidating. So, what would you
Mhm.
say, or what encouragement do you have to a marketer that's like, I want to build confidence in my ideas. I want to be able to stand up there and present these to people, and not be afraid what, my team or my leaders may think, and just go for it and see what happens.
Yeah, I think the first thing is that you just have to go into it knowing that not everything's going to work, and that's totally okay, and it shouldn't all work. I think like early on when I started in social, I would get really upset if like because I'm passionate about everything we do, and in my head I'm like, this is going to be the next biggest thing we've done, and it's not always like that. So I think one, just knowing that not everything's going to work, and that's okay. Like as long as you're taking swings and taking risks for your brand and trying to break through, I think that like you're doing your job at the end of the day. One, and then two, I think when you're pitching the leadership and stuff, it's always really important, I found, to give them context. Like you said earlier, like leadership, if their job isn't day-to-day social, then they might not know that like whatever is trending right now. So if you give them context like, hey, this is why it's culturally relevant, this is what's going on. I also think if you can have numbers to back that up, it's great. Like this got 10 billion impressions yesterday on Twitter, and this hashtag has 100 million views on TikTok, just so you can quantify it. That like really elevates whatever you're trying to do. So I think giving them context, giving the why, and like helping them understand where the brand fits in with this is huge. And then it's kind of like if your brand fits in and it's trending and all this, like it's garnering all this attention, then it's kind of like, well, why wouldn't we do it and at least take a swing at it? And then the more swings you take, the more you understand what's going to fit for your brand and what's going to hit and what's not going to hit. But yeah, I think just confidence and context is like the biggest thing when you're trying to pitch these ideas to leadership.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think having some of that insight to back up your ideas will in turn build that confidence, because versus you just coming up with an idea out of left field, you're like, I know this could work because of XYZ. And I think that not only helps your team understand, but also yourself to kind of, figure out how that could be applied to your brand. So great
Exactly.
advice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, speaking of kind of social media and just trying new things, and there's a lot of different changes always happening on the platforms, a lot of new trends and activations and things we can kind of jump onto as marketers in the social space. But do you have any predictions for 2024? Anything you could see potentially happening both on the content side of things, but also on the platforms themselves?
Yeah, I think my first like prediction, I don't even know if it's prediction, but I think like if you're a really big brand and you want to break through on social, if you're not jumping into like culturally relevant opportunities, then it's like, what are you doing at this point? I think you have to be in touch with what's going on and what your audience wants to see in order for you to break through and be successful. So one, I think TikTok's just gonna get bigger. I like it just has such a huge impact on just like culture day to day for everybody that follows the platform and like uses the platform a lot. And then I think influencer is going to grow into a space where like brands aren't necessarily going to post it organically, but use it more of like a um I'm trying to think of the word I want to use. Use it more of like just brand recognition. So like you don't have to post an influencer organically to make it useful for your social. Like when we think about social here, it's like, okay, how many people can we get the brand in front of every single day and be like, because you could follow Chili's every single day and then we post something great and people are like, oh my God, I love Chili's social. Or people could be like, I haven't thought about Chili's in 10 years, but this influencer just posted it. So I think, I think how brands utilize and leverage influencers is going to change and like just the strategy behind that is going to break through like past organically and more into like let's just pay them to post on our platform or post organically for themselves and not necessarily get the return. So yeah.
Yeah, that's incredible. I'm thinking about the some of the TikTok trends that I've seen. Like you choose, I guess there's like a filter, and there's all these different restaurants, and you choose like where you're gonna get dinner and appetizer, entree, and drinks or whatever. Like that's a perfect place for a food brand to step in and say, okay, well, we're gonna sponsor this video or something like that. And that way they're getting their brand in front of a completely different audience and not posting it on their own native channels. So I love that. And then I also love that you mentioned like setting aside some like budget or wiggle room to play with, because that was one of my big things for 2023. I was like, this is going to be the year that brands are going to like play around and like get silly and get weird and go into all of these spaces like the stunts that you guys did with Nicki Minaj, or like proposals and Chili's. And but it has a little bit. You guys did a great job. Auntie Anne's did a really good job. I know they just crashed a wedding like a couple days ago. We had Barry on the podcast on their social team. She's their senior social media manager, and she was talking through that process. And I don't think that they had actually done the stunt yet. So she was like giving us a little behind the scenes peek beforehand, but it went really well, I'm pretty sure. So that's like really cool. And I hope a lot of brands go into that more in the new year. I think that's going to be super fun to watch. Okay, well, we could talk all day to you. You are so funny and so personable. We're super like Cassie and I are chatting on the side and we're like, this is such a good interview. Like we should talk to him all day. Um, but we do have to close eventually. So I want to ask you, this is a question we love to ask here. What do you know now that you wish you knew a little earlier on in your career?
Hmm. I think when it comes to social, I think I wish I knew like how hard social is. I think before I did social, I was like, oh, that seems like such a fun, cute job. And now I'm like, it's really serious. Brands spend a ton of money, like so much work goes behind it. So I think it's really hard to do social one, and it's even harder to break through and be a really good brand on social. So I wish I knew that. And then two, I think it's really important, like anybody that wants to get into the social space, I think having one of these two things is like really going to set you apart from other people, is either like having like really good design chops or having good copywriting skills. Like I'm not good at design, I'm not good at Photoshop or anything like that. Luckily we have like amazing agencies we work with that can help me with that. But I am a good writer, and so I think, having one or two of those skills, and you don't have to have it just like, right off the bat, it's obviously going to get better as you go, but trying to hone in on one of those things like personally is going to help you a lot when it comes to social, because that's what it is at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, how have you built your copywriting skills over the years? I have to ask that because I know that's something that takes some time to hone in and everything. So how are you doing that just to become a better writer over time?
Oh my gosh, I honestly don't know. I think I like had no idea that I was creative before I started in social. Like I didn't consider myself a creative person. I think I'm funny, but I never thought I was, very creative. So I think it's just like honing in on like what you have if you're funny, then just use that to your advantage. One, I think two, Lou's my boss has done like a really good job navigating me through the copywriting space, especially when it comes to Chili's, and like checked me a lot when I first started and was like, okay, do you think this is a fit for the brand? Is it not a fit for the brand? So I think having somebody like a leader over you and just telling them like, hey, like I really do like this and this is something that I want to grow in. So you help like me keep in check or like give me the skills to be better at this is really important. And I'm ADD, so I think my brain just comes up with a million different things at one time, which not everybody wants it to have like ADD, but it's useful in some situations like copywriting. So I think that's great.
Absolutely. And that's why I tell everyone in marketing, I'm like, write every idea down. I was like, you never know when you can come back to it and it might serve you for a future project or campaign or whatever. So that's always really important too, just to reference back to.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, as Erica said, Jack, we could talk to you all day, but we have to let you get back to doing all things social for Chili's. So before we let you go, can you share with us where we can follow along with you personally and also the Chili's brand across social?
Yes, Chili's brand across social. It's at Chili's on Instagram and Twitter. It's at Chili's official on TikTok. And then I'm not very active on my Twitter or TikTok personally because I'm, focusing on the brand. But my Instagram is Jack_Hailey. So yeah, if you want to follow along for my personal, wild adventures, then you're more than welcome.
Amazing. Well, Jack, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your knowledge with all of us. We're excited to have you back too in the future and check in and see how you're doing and how the brand's doing. But thanks so much for being here. Just overall, we really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank y'all so much.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Marketing Happy Hour podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please remember to subscribe, rate, and leave a review on your favorite podcast platform. If you want more of Marketing Happy Hour but don't know where to start, we invite you to download our free Marketing Happy Hour starter kit at marketinghappyhr.com/starter-kit. This interactive magazine-style PDF walks through who we are, includes helpful resources like a marketing term glossary and the printable daily planner sheet that we actually use ourselves, and contains clickable links to our episode recommendations by subject area. Not to mention all the fun extras like a quiz, the link to our Marketing Happy Hour Insiders Facebook group, a word search, a playlist, a goal-setting guide, content inspo by month, and more. It's our hope that you'll dive into this resource and walk away more confident in your career journey with a group of industry pals that you can lean on for advice and support. Snag your free starter kit today at marketinghappyhr.com/starter-kit for all of the info you need to become a Marketing Happy Hour insider.